Okay, I want to do a uh, video on the Coreluxe laminate flooring install tips. This will probably be the final video on the Coreluxe that I'm going to do because I'm almost done. So I just wanted to go over some tips to help you out. In prior video I explained about using silicone to seal up your seams. But what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you how to cut the end of your tube and how to apply it a little more in detail. So if you look at the end of the silicone tip, it's cut very, very close to the tip, so that the opening on the silicone tube, that opening is not much bigger than the poker that you use to poke down inside the tube end to get it to open up. Actually, it was pretty tight. That's what you want, because you don't want much dispensed. You can dispense more, but it's a hell of a lot more work cleaning up and putting more silicone on the seams than what you really need to seal it can get into the seam and cause you to have a hell of a time fitting the boards. So I'm going to go ahead and try and show you here how to do this. So here we have our seam, and what we're going to do is come along that edge there. I'm going to get pretty high up on my angle. I'm going to take this and I'm going to draw that bead out right along there, continuous bead, and then we're going to come along this way. Whoop, see, I missed it, so I just come back, smear that bead around, right? That's okay. Just kind of get that on there. It's kind of hard to do this one-handed, but let's do our best here. So you don't want too much, like I said. Just going to get it on there. Okay. There. Now, take a look. Oh, there's a little much there, but it'll push out. You can see what's going on here, right? So, the next step is we need to fit this board, or I need to fit this board. I'm going to show you how I do this. One-handed. So I'm going to take this edge here. I do the sides first. Get that in. Get real close to the mating edge. As close as I can get it. Wiggle that in. Push that silicone out. Drop this down. And then lift up. And push that in. Bear with me, I'm going to set you down for a minute because I don't want to get this board in wrong. Remember, the adjoining board, it may want to pull away. See that wanting to pull away? That's okay. I'm going to use my tapping block. I'm going to tap it in. And I'm going to tap very lightly on the board that I just put in on the leading edge to seat that seam. Okay, very, very light. Okay, then push down, and then push down on that board. Now you can take these boards and you can grab them like this, like you're going to pry open a 5-gallon can, and bend them and pry them like this and pull them in, and that'll help get them seams interlocked. Okay, but be careful you don't break them, especially try not to break this edge with a tap block or grabbing onto it. You'll snap it right off. So pretty brittle. Then again, okay, what I want to do is I want to work that silicone into that seam again, right? So I'm going to work this into my seam. Okay, because the whole point of this is to make my floor waterproof, so it will not allow any moisture to get down inside through the seams into the floor, okay, underneath. So basically you're trying to make like a floor that's basically a bathtub, if that makes sense. Okay, so you want to think about your floor being like the bottom of a boat. and work that silicone into the seam. Okay, and you work it like I'm doing now. Now to rub it off, bear with me. The best way to rub this off, I'm going to show you, after you've initially rubbed it into the seam on this Coreluxe, is to go kind of crisscross this way. Okay, you don't initially want to go with the seam when you're taking the buildup off, because you'll pull it out of the seam, is what will happen. So that initial cleaning here, I'm just going to do this, okay? And you come up here and same thing, back and forth. Now here's another thing, make sure you get the silicone out of this leading edge here, because if that little booger dries when you go to put your next board in, it's going to be a pain in the butt. Okay, so set you down for a minute, come back in, we're going to polish up the seam. Now we can go with the seam, because we've removed the buildup off the top. Okay. Now, if you happen to have good boards, and like I said, I really like the Coreluxe reclaimed barn board. Every now and then you get a bad board. That's typical, you're going to have that. And otherwise, you should get a fit and finish like this. I really like these seams better than that other stuff, that whatever, Revolution Rust. And this is why. Okay. Alrighty, so hopefully that helps somebody out. Yeah, and if you got any questions and any thing to say that's positive, go ahead and post your comments. Earlier I described in the Revolution Rust video sealing the perimeter. I think some people might have misunderstood what I meant by sealing the perimeter. Not sealing the board to the floor on the perimeter. Doing that. Okay. Now I'm going to highly recommend, if you have a shower where you're opening the door and it's always getting wet, before you do anything, what I did with this floor, I came out the width of the shower door and I epoxied the floor. So there's marine grade epoxy right over the floor, and I let it sit up against the apron of the shower so it would run underneath that apron of the shower on top of the particle board flooring, right? So that's got epoxy on it. Then it's got my Kills with the nano ceramic high-tech beads in it, 3 coats. Kills #1. Now I use Kills 2 in the rest of the home because it's not so smelly, but this bathroom's a wet room, so used twice a day, so I wanted to use the Kills 1 because that'll oil base will hold up better. And then because you get some dripping on the face of the apron of the shower, I added in that PVC trim piece. Chloe, you better behave. So what happens now is if there's any leaks, and it's completely sealed, if any water drips over the apron, it's going to hit that trim piece, drip down on the floor, and that silicone sealed the flooring to the trim. And that's what I'm talking about, sealing around the home. So go around the whole perimeter of the floor and seal that up. So with silicone, don't use glue. You want to have something that can flex and move when the floor is expanding and contracting. But hopefully that helps somebody out. So put a little piece of trim in here, okay? And the reason why I made that such a big gap is because I want to have this completely waterproof. Well, except for the vent. Well, that's waterproof going down in the vent, but water dripping down in the vent typically ain't going to happen. But if I poured a gallon of water on this floor right here, if I poured a gallon of water in here, it'd drain down the vent and dry out, but it wouldn't get under the floor. That's the idea. So anyway, that's That's what I'm talking about, sealing the floor. So hopefully that helps some people out, sealing the perimeter. And I gotta get back to gimping around here trying to get this done. So, all right, have a good night. Over and out.